Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. This was a big week for motorsport in 2024. Not only did Formula 1 start in Bahrain, thrill ride that race was, we also had Formula 2 and 3 also in the deserts of Bahrain. The World Endurance Championship started in Qatar with its new format of more hypercars and GTs. Nitro Rallycross came to an end, NASCAR also happened, and the World Rally Raid Championship from the United Arab Emirates. We already talked about Formula 1, so make sure you check out that video. And let's take a look at the rest of the action from the previous weekend. So make sure you subscribe to the channel with lots more motorsport content incoming. And let's jump into the video. Let's start with the World Endurance Championship, the series I was most looking forward to in 2024. A field of 19 hypercars and 18 GT cars, a lot of new entries on the grid. This was super exciting. I couldn't wait to see them get started. The big shock was, for a big chunk of this race, Toyota weren't leading. In fact, they weren't even close to the front. A Peugeot led. In most of the races previous to this, the Peugeots just broke down, but now they were leading ahead of 4 Porsches. The 51 Ferrari bumped one of the GT cars and lost the entire back of the car in what was quite a scary moment. The race settled down for a long while, very few accidents, very few full course yellows, it was all very sensible. That's not to say it was boring, it was fascinating watching the field ebb and flow in both the hypercar and GT classes. The race really got exciting towards the end. The number 5 Porsche went off but survived with very dirty tyres. The leading number 6 Porsche had a lot more controversy surrounding it. Contact with a Lexus left it with damage and a penalty hanging over it. Was this going to give Peugeot or Jota Porsche the win? Well, no, the number 6 got away with it despite penalties being given out for lesser incidents. He did eventually pit for a sticker in what is the most hilarious interpretation of repairs. The big drama towards the end of the race was the battle for second. With 3 laps left, the Peugeot, Jota Porsche and Works Porsche were separated by just a couple of seconds. And then Heartbreak for Peugeot as it began to slow with just 2 laps left. After all the trouble they've had, it looked like they were on for their best result in the final appearance for this car. Then just like that, they were out of the podium places. So Porsche take a 1-2-3 to start the year. Cadillac were brilliant and finished 4th ahead of a Ferrari, and the lead Toyota was only 6th. How times change. This really was heartbreaking for Peugeot, but they did at least finish 7th. But later they were disqualified. Manthey Pure Racing continued their success from the Asian Le Mans series with a win here, ahead of a couple of Aston Martins. A brilliant 10-hour race. I can't wait for the next round at Imola in a month's time. Porsche looked like a threat, but things could be different as we head around the world with the WEC. Formula 2 began in Bahrain. A lot of new drivers on the grid in 2024. You should probably check out my preview if you're not caught up yet. The sprint race was pretty quiet with very few incidents. Rafael Villagomez was involved in the first contact of the year, and please allow me to say, I called it. There was a lot of overtaking though, with Zane Maloney in particular moving up from 5th to take his first Formula 2 win. Big shock for me was the performance of the Premas. They were practically nowhere. There was some interesting tyre choices as well. It was a good race. The feature race was a lot more action-packed. Formula 3 champion Gabriel Bortoleto started on pole, but the race didn't go his way and started badly after he made contact with Isaac Hadjar. Zane Maloney led from start and was unstoppable again. We lost 2 more big names due to reliability issues. Jack Crawford lost the engine in the pits and never got going again, whilst the ART of Victor Martins broke down on the track. In the late stages, tyres played a big part. Some drivers dropped back like Dennis Hauger and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, whilst others moved forward like the Invicta twins. But no one could stop Zane Maloney, a dominant start to his Formula 2 season. Great drives as well from Pepe Marti, who grabbed 2 podiums, and Paul Aaron. Points in his debut weekend as well for Ritomo Miata, who managed to claw his way back up to 9th. Formula 3 was also in Bahrain, and what a dreadful start to the year for Dino Beganovic, despite grabbing pole for the feature. That would be the only points he got all weekend. I said this has to be his year, and so it has started on a really sour note for the Swede. Lawrence Van Hopen and Nikolaj Solov are teammates at ART for 2024. You couldn't tell as they fought tooth and nail for the lead for the majority of this race. Unfortunately, that left them vulnerable to the Prema of Arvid Lindblad. The youngest of the Prema drivers led the way for the Italian team in this first weekend. A debut win for Lindblad and a pretty good race to kick off Formula 3. The feature race started with Beganovic having a slow start and letting Luke Browning lead the way. Most of the action was in the midfield of this race. There was a great move to get on the podium from German Tim Tramnitz in his MP. A good consistent weekend from him. Dino Bogdanovic did climb back up to 13th, showing how much pace he had and what could have been, but the first feature race win of the year went to Luke Browning. Prema and Trident usually dominate Formula 3, but I think both teams will find it a lot harder in 2024. Nitro Cross was the only season coming to an end this past weekend, 2 final rounds from Las Vegas. This is free to watch on Rumble if you weren't aware, and generally the racing's good even if the field's a bit small. 4 drivers could be champion after this, but Robin Larson was definitely the favourite. The weekend did not start well for him, however. He was given a penalty in semi-final 1 and had some afters with McConnell. It did not look like this was going to be a civilised finale. The penalty was eventually dropped, and that pretty much meant Robin Larson was destined to be champion. The second semi-final was exceptionally close between Ollie Eriksson and Timmy Hansen, with more contact after the line. Fraser McConnell won the day 1 final and kept his slim title hopes alive, but Robin Larson was second. So day 2, unfortunately, Fraser McConnell lost his heat race to Timmy Hansen, which pretty much handed the championship to Larson, who then went and won every race on the second day, so that settled it, I guess. Fun championship, but with World Rallycross crawling back to petrol in 2024, I wonder how much of a future electric Rallycross has. It's been a disaster for the World Series, and Nitro was better when we saw Subarus going head to head with Audis and the like. NASCAR was also in Las Vegas. Must have been a great weekend in the City of Sin for motorsport fans. Not too much happened here. Christopher Bell had a bad race, going off multiple times. Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick fought over every stage and the race win, Larson taking all of them and leading the standings for what little that matters. In defence of NASCAR here, this was quite an entertaining race. The last few laps were really good, and there wasn't so many mass crashes. Still no Van Gisbergen, he was having issues in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Finally, World Rally Raid and the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, the second round after Dakar, and with about half the front runners. Nasser Al-Attiyah won in a field of 19 cars, quite a few injured bike riders in this one, and the coverage is still terrible. So that was all the action from the past weekend. Some really good stuff, with the World Endurance Championship being a particular highlight. Next weekend we have more Formula 1 from Saudi Arabia, but we also have Formula 2 and the start of the F1 Academy, the start of IndyCar and Indy NXT from St. Petersburg, Super Formula and Formula Regional Japan from Suzuka, and of course NASCAR from Phoenix. So with that, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you're watching next weekend. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.